Hi everyone, on this episode of No Sugar Coat, my guest is the award-winning actress Bhumi Pednekar. We chat about her school days, having the best girlfriends. We also talk about her brand new film, Thank You for Coming, about five best friends who discover the depth of their love through their hilarious and heartwarming shenanigans. Here's Bhumi to tell us all. Thank you for coming on No Sugar Coat.
Yay!
I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm very excited that I'm here too.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Tired?
Tired, full of nerves. Very excited because, we've waited for this day for so long and now our film's about to release. And I don't know. I'm just I'm a mess right now. I'm a big mess.
Hot mess.
Hot mess.
So what were you doing before you started acting?
I grew up in Bombay.
Bombay.
I went to a school called Arya Vidya Mandir.
AVM.
AVM. I'm an AVM girl, and it's
AVM Bandra? Juhu.
Juhu. And actually, Riya and Sonam were my seniors.
Yeah.
School was great, complicated. Now that I look back,
Why complicated?
dude, because I feel like while growing up, we don't realize that there's a lot of PTSD that we have from our school days. There's a lot of trauma, and just because you're children, you don't realize that whatever you're going through is not maybe like a great situation for you to be in. And in the times that I grew up, you didn't really have like therapy or like, therapists in school or the right kind of guidance. Whatever guidance you got was at home. And obviously my parents were...
But what was it? So for me, for example, I've always grown up as a big girl.
Yeah.
So for me, school was really challenging because you have to like not only navigate your own feelings for yourself and how your body is changing, but then all these reactions from other people. And like, you like a boy. And then I had my worst memory from school is this guy who I had the biggest crush on once came and told me, I wish I had a safety pin. And I was like, what? And he's like, so then I could just burst you. And I was like, what is happening? There's so much trauma from
That's so mean.
Yeah.
People can be very mean in school. And I mean, I've had a similar journey as well, even though I really tried my best to kind of balance it out. And a lot of credit goes to my parents because they made sure that, I held on to as much self-esteem as I could. But I feel like whatever experiences you go through in school, they have a long-lasting effect, because I mean, I was really bullied in school. And I actually hated going to school after a point.
But bullied, why? Was it
Because of the way I looked. I did not look like how all the other conventional girls looked. And, like I had big breasts and I developed really early on and I would constantly, and there were girls as well. It's so ironic because I have my school reunion for the first time.
Are you going?
I am going. 100%. I'm going to go with my head held high. And you know what the thing is? I don't think a lot of them that bullied me realized what they were doing was wrong. So I don't really want to pick on them or single them out. I just feel like a lot of it comes from just our conditioning. A lot of it comes from our upbringing as well.
Have you forgiven them though?
I think so. I think I kind of went through that process of forgiving a lot of energies in my life very early on because after I lost my father, I realized we don't concentrate on the right things. And it's been a journey for me as well because I think I was very bitter after I lost my dad.
Were you young?
I was young. I was 19. And my sister was younger. And we were just lost, right? Because from having that, everything was so right in our life, where my family was concerned. And then suddenly it all just went, it was not the nicest. Obviously, there were a lot of like financial ups and downs that happened. And suddenly from not having to care about a lot of things, we just had to take on responsibility for everything. So I think I grew up really, really fast. And this comes from a place of, and I'm very proud of myself. Honestly, this comes from a place of, I often pat my back because I think when I was younger, I was like, why am I going through this? Why? Like, look at my other friends. Everything is so great. Why? But I feel like there was so much ambition and there was so much drive in me because I was not left with any other option.
You had no choice.
I was my only plan A, plan B. I was like, okay, if I don't make it in life, I'll have to live the way I'm living today.
And at this point, you feel like, okay, your whole like world has kind of fallen apart.
Absolutely.
And did you know what you wanted to do with your life? Was the plan before this different, and then after did it change?
No, I always was very clear that I'm going to be an actor.
Really?
Absolutely. I was very young. And see, that's why, like, even in school, you get so confused because I was like, I kind of realized very early on that I don't look like any of the other girls that are called beautiful, or that are attractive or that are cool or whatever. I was different. I embraced it as much as I could, but it would also kind of put me in a tiz, right? Because teenage problems, they're boys and, whatever, it's cute. You go through like heartbreak and rejection, like so much rejection. But eventually you find strength in it. And I was always very clear that I want to be an actor, but I don't think I had the confidence, so that's why I always just kept it to myself because I was like, no, I'm not beautiful. And
But what about it made you say like, I want to be an actor? There was no like influence of any acting in your
not
ecosystem.
not really. I mean, my grandfather was a theater actor. My mom wanted to be an actor. She actually also did a few pieces of work, but then she got married and she had us. Her dream kind of stopped right there. And she didn't have the opportunities that I fortunately had. And I feel like there was a lot of conversation between her and I that happened really secretly. I don't think my father was also aware of it.
Really?
Because for my dad, films was like a big no. He was so protective of us that he came from a good place. I don't think it was patriarchal. It was just like a father being that, no, like, do anything else. Why films? Like this big, bad world. How do I put like my little child out there? But my mom and I, we would talk about it often. And I was obsessed. I would go watch films. I would dress up like Karishma Kapoor all the time. I was obsessed with her. And I was obsessed with Rani Mukherjee. And my mom, she kind of introduced me to the more credible form of cinema because that's the kind of cinema that she enjoyed. So there was always some cinema was an active part of our life, but there was no way for me to kind of get into it. And then it was my mom's best friend, Rekha Auntie, who I miss dearly. She's also not there anymore. And she kind of like, because her and my mom were best friends, my mom told her that, Bhumi wants to do this. And she got me the forms for Whistling Woods.
Really?
And and honestly, I think I only became confident after my 10th. Because till my 10th, I was in school and people would like whatever. They used to call me Big Boobs Bhumi. Yeah, B Cube. And I hated it. But now I really embrace my assets. I'm very proud of them. I mean, look, whatever you're born with, you should just like love yourself. And that comes with a lot of hating yourself. This comes
this love yourself, hate yourself. I think that this is the hardest thing because I think no matter what you do, what you achieve, like for me as well, right? Like my weight has always been such a big part of my life. It's always there. No matter what I do, and for whatever reason, it's there, it's not there. And like my mom will always tell me, she's like, what, and you see all these things. It doesn't matter what others see. It's what you see in the mirror and how you treat yourself. And all of that is true. But then you're like, okay, I'll embrace myself. But then everyone around you is always telling you, this is not how you should be. And you should be somebody else. And I grew up with like, extended family telling me, oh, you have such a pretty face, lose some weight. You'll never find a husband. No one will want to marry you. And I was just like, so the first time a guy actually was interested in me and told me I was pretty, I was like 18, 19 years old. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Me? Like no one in my 18 year of existence ever called me beautiful or told me I was pretty. Like it was just so...
Yeah.
So how do you let go of that?
Honestly, I think I've just reached this point recently. It's taken me a very, very long time. And I don't think I'm still the most comfortable in my skin. It's easier said than done. There are days where I'm extremely underconfident. And I think I don't want to blame my profession, but there's so much noise around us all the time, right? Like being a girl who is anyway so tough. And then like, being in a profession where your first requisite is to look a certain way. So I kind of went through a similar journey when I became an actor, right? Because like, So after school, only when I entered high school, there was some other kind of confidence that was kicked in because suddenly my ecosystem changed. I just brushed my past and I just like started off afresh. Film school was fantastic. I joined film school. That was fantastic. I made new friends. And suddenly I was living like this new life. I started working at YRF. I would boost excessive confidence into me even on the days where I felt like shit because, there was so much happening in my life.
Okay, how does this work? How does one boost confidence in themselves?
Dude, by faking it.
AK, he says that as well. He's like, beta, every morning you have to stand in front of the mirror and you have to tell yourself, I am the best. Does that work?
I don't know. Honestly, that's not worked for me. But I was like, but I constantly kind of remind myself that, bro, you've seen worse. Like you've really seen worse. You've been in places where you've cried yourself at night. It can't get worse than that. You're definitely at a better place than that. So get your shit together and get going. But dude, see, that's also a privilege.
Yeah,
I'm able to do that because of my mom and my sister and my friends.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have that support system. Because I have that support system, every time I have a shit day, my sister Samiksha, she is like
She's your everything.
She's my everything.
She's a rock.
She's like somebody who just takes in so much of my bad energy when I'm feeling low, and she kind of boosts my confidence and my positivity because, you just get insecure at times. And it could be the smallest thing that triggers you. And it takes a lot to kind of find your balance and to kind of hold on to your self-esteem. So I think on days that I feel like shit, I'm like, you just have to count your blessings and get on with it because there is no choice. When you don't have a plan B,
you just have
you can be going through a breakup. You can be going through anything in life.
Yeah.
You just have to keep your shit together.
How do you not let like negative comments or mean comments get to you?
I don't read them. I swear, Pooja.
Like, how do you build that? Because I'm like, how does one get over this? I know it's just hurtful.
It would affect me a lot
when
I started off because, again, so what I was actually speaking of earlier was also, so when I started my career and I kind of like, everything that I read was similar to what I went through in school. People would comment on my body, like, even though like, whatever, I had this transformation, this whatever happened with my weight, etc. But it was never enough. Obviously there was a large section that appreciated me and I got a lot of love.
And I'm not going to... Before the film or after?
After the film. Dum Laga Ke Haisha was one of the best things that's happened to me. And I was so desperate just for work as an actor. Obviously, the script was phenomenal. And when the script came along, I was casting for the film. And somewhere deep down, I was like praying because it was somewhere so tough for me to like go through that job for 3 years when all I wanted to do was be in front of the camera. And that's why I took such phenomenal auditions that all my directors jinki films I cast for, they'd be like, oh, like, why don't you do this part? Why don't you do that part? I was like, I don't know, how do I go tell them that I want to be like a leading lady? Because I was so embarrassed, right? I was like, I don't look like any of these girls. So how dare I have this ambition? So this was a conversation I just had with myself.
Because you were embarrassed of
singing?
I
was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And I somewhere felt like, it wouldn't happen.
Because you'd be judged or you'd be like, who are you to do this?
Or they would be like, okay, there's this smaller part. Why don't you do that? I did not want to start that way. And, kudos to people that have achieved it. That I didn't want that to be my journey. I was always very clear. I want to be like a leading lady. I wanted films around me. But I kind of held on to that dream, and I didn't tell anyone because I was like, what if people make fun of me or, whatever. And I was so good at my job that I just went on. And I'm telling you, like, the universe has insane plans for you. You just have to believe in it. You really have to manifest it. And I think I manifested it for so many years. Like for 10 years, I was 12 or 13 when I told my mom I was 23 when Dum Laga Ke Aisha happened. I manifested it so hard that a film that did not need me to look like all my other contemporaries or like, how other leading ladies have been came my way. And it changed my life.
And you had to gain weight for it?
Yes. So I was always a heavier girl. But yes, for Dum Laga Ke Aisha, I gained a lot of weight. And it's so weird because when I was going through that journey, people just assumed that I was unhappy. I was going through something. Oh, she's gained so much weight. Like, is everything okay? Do you need therapy?
Because you can't be happy.
You
if
can't be,
you're
yeah.
overweight.
I was like, I'm absolutely okay. And I was genuinely maybe like in the best place of my life because I was in a beautiful relationship. I was living my dream. I had my first film and, and I love food. And I was just like eating my heart away. And I was so happy. I was so happy. And people could just like, they just couldn't believe me. And then Dum Laga Ke Haisha happened and the film became like a rage. And then I kind of started getting back to how I was before the film. And also somewhere I knew in my head that if I won't get the kind of work I wanted to do, I'm going to be very honest, had I stayed that way. That's the harsh reality of, where we are or the job that I do. And anyways, that happened. Appreciation came my way. I still did not fit like any of the body standards that were put, that were kind of placed. There was a large, as I was saying earlier, there was a large section that loved me. And I'm here because I had like people and fans and the audience and filmmakers that believed in my craft. And I kept getting good films, one after the other. Even though such great things were happening to me. And, I was like doing talks on body positivity and, whatever. I was still so insecure of the way I looked.
Yeah. Even after losing all the weight.
Even after losing all that weight, because it never ends.
This is like when I was about 16, 17, I lost about like 30 kgs and I was the skinniest I was ever in my life. And I moved to Switzerland. And again, it was great. And then slowly over the years, I came back and slowly the weight started coming back. But even at my skinniest, I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it. Like I would not feel worthy.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes I think about it now and I'm like, you always have this thing to check, like I have to get to this weight and I have to look like this. But you're like, will that really give me happiness?
Yeah. I mean, see where I am today and I still feel like, I don't know, like, do I fit into that mold that's been created? People kind of boxed me and I was constantly trying to break that stereotype because, I did a lot of like films that were heartland films. And look, again, those films gave me a lot. Awards, love, just so much respect as an actor. But I was seeking something else. And that's so sad. Like in hindsight, I was like, Bhumi, you could not enjoy any of that because you were so stuck on how you look. And then I further transformed myself because I was like, okay, this is what you guys think about me. Because my brain could not take in all the positivity. I think it's just human nature. I was just so stuck on, they think I can only play like a village girl or, I can't, whatever. I can't do like commercial films. And I kind of started changing my track. I started working harder on myself and I completely lost the joy of living. I was like working out for 5 hours in a day, every fat diet, and then I would have a phase where I would like really take care of myself and my family was worried and then I fell sick. And I'm still like dealing with the abuse that I put my body through for like those 4 years because, I was
trying
just
every diet.
Dude, I used to work out for like 4 hours. I used to burn like 800 calories.
And then, did that make you happy, Bhumi?
No, bro. I was miserable.
Yeah.
I was miserable. Like I didn't have a life because all I wanted to do was look like somebody else. Like, why?
How do you feel today when you look at yourself in the mirror today? What do you feel like?
I think I've just lost perspective. I know like this is maybe the skinniest I've ever been, but there's no end to it. The way I'm looking is not because I've had like a great healthy transformation. I've been sick. Like I developed allergic rhinitis. I have an autoimmune condition. And honestly, all I'm doing right now is to fix myself because of which I've eradicated so many foods. I'm again on a bloody diet because now I can't eat half of the things I bloody love. I wish I could go back to my younger self and tell her, stop abusing your body because you don't have to fit into anybody else's vision because everything was great.
Yeah. But you just couldn't see it.
I just couldn't see it. I was only listening to all the garbage that came my way. I wasn't listening to all the love that came my way. If there was one person telling me that, oh no, she can't do like a big masala film because of the way she looks, there were 10 people that were getting me those scripts. But I was like, oh, I don't. And there was validation. I was finding validation in people that didn't matter to me. And it's just like, there's just so much pressure that's put on you, and then suddenly the fucking biological clock starts ticking and I'm like, oh my God, I'm 33 now. I also need to have children. But if I freeze my eggs, I'll have to go through a cycle and I'll again, like, I'll go through like 4 months of being bloated. Can I afford that right now with my career? Maybe not, because dude, it's like...
We've spoken about freezing eggs.
Yeah, exactly. We've spoken
about dating and how hard it is. How hard is it dating when you are you? Because it's hard dating anyway. And then add this layer of like limelight and fame and everything else.
I think it just becomes like 10x tougher. Because you don't really trust people easily because you're so vulnerable, right? I'm like, and I've been there, right? Since I became an actor, after my last relationship, I didn't date for like, I wasn't in a serious relationship for 6 years. I was like, it has to only be work and I'm not going to have a distraction. And I made like my work everything. And it's the same even now, but I think it's okay to have a healthy balance. Then I was like, okay, it's time to kind of put myself out there. And then I realized it's a shit show. I can't be on any dating apps. I tried a dating app. Okay, there was this Raya. I have Raya. Listen, shit out of my life.
I met my boyfriend on Raya. So
no, Pooja. I didn't meet anyone. I honestly, I didn't have the guts to like go on a date. And then
imagine how intimidated someone would be to go on a date with you as well. No?
Yeah.
Has anyone told you that?
Yeah. Many times. And like I've also had boys kind of tell me, and now they like once they are married and like very happy with their partners, and it's so weird, right? When they come up to me and they're like, no, we really want to do, but... And I'm like, but it's so inappropriate for you to kind of tell this to me. Like, I don't know why you think you can. Because, whatever. But I feel it gets a little intimidating for me as well because it's so scary to put yourself out there. Like instances where I spoke to a boy for like, say, a few weeks, and whatever, met him or whatever. And we obviously aren't together. And that person has gone around like telling everyone, oh, she was crazy about me. And, the world is really small and everything kind of reaches you. And I'm like, dude, that's okay. Half of it is true, but you're making me sound like I'm like some crazy stalker, who is like, and that's why I feel so vulnerable. I'm like, I don't think I can put myself out there because how else are you supposed to make a connection without speaking to someone? Isn't that normal? But they'll make it like, so there was this line, what was that Rani Mukherjee and Saif Ali Khan film? Hum Tum, where Rani Mukherjee says, agar ladki, Saif Ali Khan tells her, agar ladki ko French fry do, wo bolega, maine hamburger khaya. It's so true, bro. And this happened to me a few times. I've also been told, you're not going to believe this, that, it was a very good zone that I was with this boy and whatever. Like, great guy, everything. But he's like, it's just not going to work out because you're an actor. I didn't speak to him after that day because I was like, the one thing that I have is my work. And I worship my work. It's maybe the only true... Obviously, Samiksha and my mom, I'm not including them in this statement. But my work is the only thing that has given me back 20 times. It's the most honest equation that I share. And if you think it's not worthy, honestly. So again, rejection, right? Like from such a young age, you're just constantly told things and you just have to like keep taking all of it, still tapping into your self-esteem and self-confidence and belief.
It's tough, man.
It's tough. It's so exhausting. Like, I'm just like tired.
I just
at
cry.
times.
I cry a lot.
I also cry a lot. I can cry now also.
No. Ria hates it. She's like, what are you crying about now? She's like, please stop crying. And I'm like, it's just a release for me. Like, I can't deal with so many things.
Correct.
And for you, it's like 100x more.
No, bro. Honestly, I don't think so. I feel like you're a self-made, independent girl. Okay, but you are in the limelight as well.
But I'm in food, na? Theek hai. I'm like a...
Doesn't matter, dude. You're also as vulnerable as I am.
No.
You know, I just feel like women in general are very vulnerable.
I mean, everyone, right? Every little girl whose family tells them you're too dark or, lose weight, you won't find a husband. I
Yeah.
think like you carry that trauma with you through everything.
Yeah,
and
there
then
were certain
and then it
relatives of
triggers.
mine. I would hate one of their house.
Yeah.
Because all they said was ki, they would tell my mom, you should tell Bhumi to lose weight. You should tell Bhumi to lose weight. What's your problem?
That too. And then when I was going to study hospitality and all, they were like, the same specific family member was like, why are you spending so much money on your daughter's education? She's just going to get married, all of that. And last week he sent me a message saying, Bacha, so proud of you. You're on MasterChef, blah, blah, blah. You make us so proud. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, been there. Been there, dude, because films was like a massive no. I was like the black sheep of the family. People were embarrassed.
Like, what is she doing?
This is even before I became an actor. You know, they'd be like, they would not like acknowledge what I do. And after, bro, there's nothing sweeter than success. There isn't, because I have seen people change like this. And I'm telling you, Pooja, as that little girl who was like, ek din main dikhaungi, just this thought that kept me going. I was like, I will have my due. One day, I will make sure that your attitude towards me would change.
But and then you also realize, like, then you have to let go of that also.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep holding on to that, because you drive yourself mad.
In hindsight, you realize that what that person thought of me does not matter.
Yeah.
But this thing that, okay, maybe I can term it a little more positively, but this is the only thing that keeps me going. See, because there are very few people that believe in me.
It gives you like a push.
It lights my fire. I'm like, oh, okay, so. But again, it's also had like a bit of a negative vibe in my life as well. So, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm confused. I only don't know.
So she's like, I don't know. Dating is hard.
Dating is
tough,
very
being
tough.
vulnerable.
And heartbreaks, bro.
Heartbreaks
Heartbreaks are tough.
And then you deal with them publicly.
That's tougher. It was my first time that I've had to do it.
Do you feel like people know who the real you is?
Like the audience? Like in general, no.
And why?
I think a lot of it has to do with, because I'm a private person.
But can you be so public and be private?
Absolutely, I managed to do it. I kind of choose where I want to talk. I kind of choose what parts of my life I want to put out. And I'll also tell you why. Because this is, again, my opinion. I think everybody's ethos of life is very different. And especially with social media, because we live in those times, we thrive in those times, and it's phenomenal and it's empowering. But it can also snatch a lot from your life. Like, for example, there have been moments from my private life that have been made public without my consent. But when those things don't work out, I have to deal with it by myself. And there's this gaze of judgment. And I've not chosen that. It's been brought upon me. So I feel like there's certain aspects of my life that I want to keep as is. Look, in the longer run, when I want people to remember me, I genuinely just want it to be about the films that I do, the work that I do otherwise. I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't do silly things in public. And that's been a choice. My friends know I'm crazy and I'm like a mess, and I'm that girl who trip and fall and say like the most inappropriate things. And it's okay, because that's my safety net. I trust them. I just want my roles to be remembered more than anything else.
Okay. I think it's like a protective mechanism.
Maybe.
That keeps you safe as well.
And I also think maybe a lot of it comes from not having my father around. Because I am like, in many ways, kind of leading my family. And that comes with a lot of responsibility. And I think my mom has already dealt with like enough people telling her, oh, you're screwing up with your daughters. Why are you sending Samiksha to such an expensive law school? Why are you sending her abroad? Why are you sending Bhumi to like film school? There's enough that she's dealt with.
You don't want to add more.
I don't want to. So it's more for her to kind of protect her that I just kind of
I get that.
keep it together.
I get that. So you want to be remembered for your work. So should we
Yes, I
talk
hope
about
to.
this new work that is coming out that has been a part of our lives for the last
2 years.
I feel like Ria has just looked around her and said, I'm going to take this from you, because this is what you guys are going through, and I'm going to put it together.
Yeah.
And Kanika Kapoor was born.
And Kanika Kapoor was born.
I mean, I just feel like there's so many shades of her that I relate to. I'm sure that, other girls will. What about the character do you relate to the most?
I think every aspect of her, bro. As you rightly said, there's so much of her that you relate to. There's so much of her that I relate to as well. She's grown up with a lot of complexes about the way she looks, rejection in school, being picked on in school, always chasing that guy who's maybe out of her league because that's what the world told her, but that's the guy she always wanted, and I've been there. My league is very broad, and I think that was the change in perspective that also kind of I had after doing this film. This film was, I've said this even before, this film was like a long therapy session for me. Because there were so many of my unresolved issues that I kind of came to terms with through Kanika's journey. Her situation with her family. It's just like these 3 chicks, like it's her grandmom, her mom, and her. It's quite similar with us as well. It's just the 3 of us. Her friends. Oh my God, my girlfriends are my life. I am sane because of them.
Who's like your core friends?
Okay, so my sister, my sister, my best friend is Sharmeen. She lives in America. I think I was 3 and she was 2 when we met, and we have been joined to the hip since then. And I miss her terribly, but distance just doesn't matter. Then there is Priyanka. She now calls herself Leila because she is a nut job.
She just decided to change her name.
I swear that's exactly what happened. Because one day she's like, guys, please call me Leila. I'm like, what? And she's always been she's just a unique girl. And there's so much that I've learned from all of them. Then there's Nisha. There's Rubina. These girls are like and there's Tanisha. They are like I can go and tell them anything and they'll just embrace me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, na? Even like while the whole film was happening, like every weekend we'll just be at Ria's house and just sit there and just be like, bro, this date, this boy, this thing, this disaster, this thing at work. And it's like this cocoon of just like a safe space. You can really be yourself. There's no judgment. And people will call you out in your bullshit, at least and you need that in your life.
Yeah, they keep me grounded. They don't care whether I'm this successful actor, but they are my biggest cheerleaders. And Samiksha also is actually a part of that core. We all are very, very close. Like the last few months weren't the best for me, and these girls just kept me held on. Kanika Kapoor is one of my most cherished characters. She's non-judgmental, but she's the most judgmental towards herself. She has phenomenal relationships and equations, but she's unable to hold on to the only relationship that she's chasing. That is a man. She's smart, she's talented, she's successful, but she doesn't recognize any of this because she's devalued herself so much.
I told you this was inspired by everyone around her.
But we all are a Kanika Kapoor.
I know.
She's such a perfect. She is actually that perfect girl. Because she's so imperfect.
Yeah.
And imperfections are so beautiful, right? And perfection doesn't exist.
Yeah, because what is perfection?
Exactly. Ask anybody. And I'm telling you, you go to any girl, I might today be like, oh my gosh, she is beautiful.
And she'll find 10 mistakes, 10 flaws.
So there's nothing can ever be complete.
So if you had to give a message to like young girls who are listening to this or going to go watch the film, what is the one thing or the couple of things that you'd want them to know or take away from it?
You are going to really, really connect with the film because you'll feel like this is your story. Because every girl is a Kanika Kapoor. I think like you'll find a lot of representation about your experiences because there are certain experiences that all of us have gone through. It's a film that's very warm. I'll tell you what happened with me, and I really hope that a lot of girls experience it. After I watched the film, I just felt liberated. I was like, I'm not alone. We all go through this mess. We all are made to feel like, we have no value. And dude, this is like after I've achieved all of this.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how tough must it be for like women or girls when they are younger, when they're confused, because it was very tough for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was very tough for you as well. Yeah. And I feel like you just realize and understand that you need to stop being so hard on yourself. And you will be hard on yourself, but every time you are, somewhere find that silver lining where you're like, listen, it's okay. Tomorrow is going to be better. Or, just kind of rubbish what the other person says. Because whenever I hear now, what I've started to do is, if I hear anything that pulls me down, like obviously for some time I'm low, but then I'm like, what, that person doesn't know anything. They're silly. They don't know anything. They're foolish. And I just kind of move on.
If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
School's traumatic. But my school was really nice.
Yeah.
I've had like I don't want people to think that I had like a very dark. I mean, there were days. There were good days. Yeah. There were bad days. There were some really good days as well. Because school kind of gave me that foundation to explore, because I was like so artistic. I feel something that I would tell Bhumi, who had like beautiful big breasts when she was in school, is that be proud of your body because you're going to be appreciated a lot for it later in every size and form. I had love before dam laga ke haisha. I had love after dam laga ke haisha. I have love even now. I had dislike as well. It depends on you, what energy you want to pick. I chose most times to take the energy that kind of pulled me down. You don't do that. So I think the only thing I would want to tell Bhumi from back in the day is stop being so hard on yourself.
What do you think your dad would think of you if he met you today?
Oh my God, stop it. I'm going to cry.
No, we don't have to do this.
I'm just an emotional mess. This film has got to be like...
Listen, I cried this morning. It's completely fine.
No, I have tissue.
Yeah,
I've kept some tissue because of my... I think he'll be very proud. I don't think I can do this question.
Leave it. I think he'll be very proud. And you should be very proud of yourself.
Fuck.
I don't know why you cry, bro.
I'm sorry. I didn't think this will go this way.
It wasn't meant to.
I know. I think we just spoke about like so much. I don't cry easy. But I've cried a lot. I cried at TIFF also. And I was like...
Listen, crying is completely okay. Riya Kapoor, it is a very normal, natural reaction of your body when you're under stress to cry. So just let us cry.
Okay, I need to blow my nose.
You can keep it.
It's normal to blow your nose. And burp and fart. Because girls are also human. I think my dad will be very proud. There's a lot of him in me and my sister. And I know he's just here guiding us. In the way I conduct myself, in the way Samiksha behaves, in the way I fight, my humor, it's all him. There's so much of him in our, so you learn to deal with grief.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. But grief gives you a lot of strength. So somewhere I know that I'm taken care of. And I know my dad's going to be very proud of Samiksha and I.
Yeah.
And we are very conscious of making sure that his name lives on through us. And because he done a lot of good work his entire life. And we are trying to do the same.
Awesome. Thank you for being so honest and vulnerable.
Oh God, I have nosy.
And not sugarcoating anything. Thank you for doing this, Bhumi.
Oh my God. Thank
Good luck for the
you.
film. I'm sure you're going to kill it. And
Can I show off our...
Yeah.
Look at this. Thank you for coming to Love 15.
I hope you liked this special episode of No Sugarcoat. If you did, let me know in the comments below and subscribe to the channel. And watch the space for new episodes of No Sugarcoat coming soon.